Every day is a blessing, the time we spend together. All we can do is promote change, 24 hours better.
Welcome back. Well, today I have a special guest, and I want to give a little bit of introduction and clarity on this person's background and their mindset. I read a little bit of their biography and their backstory about where they come from, their situations, the tragedies that they overcame, and how they got to this point in life of like being a leader, a CEO, a mentor, an inspirational, person out in the field to help other people like move along and inspire them not only through transitions and things in life, but inspire them to overcome the obstacles that the tragedies that hold most of us down. I won't get too much into his backstory as far as that. If he wants to touch bases on it, that's great. I'll let him do that. But we do share some kindred things of understanding in that moment of tragedy and what shapes us after the tragedies. And then for me, it's the quiet moments after that shapes us, to who we are, and when we really have to define who we are. So if you would welcome Alan Lazaros. I greatly appreciate, him giving me the opportunity to pronounce everything correctly, but I appreciate you, welcoming to the show. So thank you very much, Mr. Allen. Please, thank you for that. What have you been up to lately?
Thank you for having me, first and foremost. I really appreciate it. What have I been up to lately? We had a live event this past weekend. It was a fully virtual event, but it was kind of a big deal. We do Next Level Live. We did it 9 years straight, and it was a big one. So I'm coming off of a tough weekend. We also had a 10-pound and 10-week challenge that just ended. We have a little fitness community, and weigh-ins were that same night. So I weighed in. My goal weight was 201. I weighed in at 199.6, which was good. And we started at 211. So 10 pounds in 10 weeks, 70-day challenge. Our community did it. 58 people in the community, 28 people signed up, and it's been a lot, man. And I'm grateful to be here. I appreciate it. And when it comes to accountability and coaching and how to be the best version of yourself, not in the fortune cookie words, but in real life every day, that's where I live and breathe every day.
Okay, so someone came on and they were talking about that discipline is more of the thing than the motivation mindset of that. And for you, there's definitely like some character goals that are in mind, that you have these goals that are set up and they're driven from that. Does it come from a place to where like you're driven by overcoming adversity, or is it driven because you always want to be the better version of yourself? Is there or is there something else in between?
It's probably both. I think what ultimately drives me, and I'll share this briefly, you mentioned I had some tragedy. I got in a car accident at 26 that I had a mortality moment, and you also mentioned how it's the quiet moments after adversity or tragedy that tend to shape us. I like that a lot. And so when I was 2 years old, so I was born and raised in Massachusetts, 1988 I was born. 1991 I was almost 3, and my birth father died in a car. When I was thank you. When I was 26, I had done the traditional path at this point. Preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, corporate. And I did it very well. I had a stepdad for a while. My real last name is McCorkle, my birth last name. Steve Lazaros was my stepfather. But 26, I had that sort of quarter-life crisis.
Right.
And the thing that I realized, to answer your question about what motivates me, adversity or to be the best version of yourself, I realized that after that car accident, had that been it for me, I would have really died with regret. And that's so from that moment until now, that was 11 years ago. I'm 37 now, hoping to hit puberty at 38. You know what I mean? No, I look young for those of you who aren't on camera. But at the end of the day, I kid you not, I would have died with regret. And people are like, well, what do you mean by regret? You lived such a great life. You got straight A's in high school. You did very well. You're a computer engineer, master's in business, all this stuff. Yeah, but for me, I wasn't even scratching the surface of my true potential. And I wasn't putting it all on the court. I was wasting time, effort, and money. I had high school friends and college friends and corporate friends, and I had this thriving social life. but ultimately I wasn't into personal development, self-improvement, and personal growth. So what really drives me, and there's something we call the 5 M's of motivation at my company. And so we are all driven by a lot of things, internal and external. But what really drives me more than anything else is this one simple statement, which is to reach my own unique full potential and to help others do the same. That, for me, that was the biggest regret I had, is if I had died that day like my father did, I wouldn't have put it all on the court. I wouldn't have come even close within Hail Mary distance of my full potential. And now, from that moment until now, 11 years, I make sure I put it all on the court every single day, to the point where a lot of people think I'm out of my mind.
No, that's a great point. And how do you actually address someone in a situation to where they maybe haven't gone through that fight or flight mechanism, to that all of nothing, or in type of stagnant point in their life, or stagnant point in their life, to where it's now or never, or it's a definitive version, or are they just not ready for the transition that you're willing to offer? Is there something that you do, or you get to home in on that to where they can have the same passion that you're coaching?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I just got off a free breakthrough session, is what we call it, with a man named Alvaro, and he wants me to coach. He has a financial firm that he's run for 40 years. He's 79 years old, and he wants me to run not run his team, but coach his team to be more effective. And I told him, let's start with you, and it's pay as you play, no long-term contract, my coaching. Like, I want to be able to fire you too. If you don't like me, that's fine. And if I don't like you, I'm going to can it. So my old answer would have been, I would try to motivate everybody. I would try to inspire everybody and educate everybody. I have, since my naive has been stripped from me, or I stripped it from myself. I think it's a little of both. But I no longer try to help people climb mountains they don't want to climb. And so I told him, I said, let's give it a shot for a few weeks. I do once a week. I do every other week, or I do monthly. And then I have a couple crazies that are 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. I call them my Navy SEALs, quote unquote. But I said, let's give it a shot for a few weeks, and if it's not aligned, I'm gonna can it anyway. So my point of that is, we call it a willingness score, and over the last 11 years, being inspiration, motivation, education, like I feel like when I first found the personal development, self-improvement, and personal growth space, I was really excited. Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Ogman, Dino, and Stephen Covey, and all the books and all the. I now believe most of it is horseshit. And what I mean by that is, a lot of it is rah-rah feel-good stuff that's very overly validating and overly affirming that doesn't actually work. And I think that sometimes you have to start there. That's great, right? But I think the best way to describe it is, motivation is like a fresh coat of paint over rotten wood. The real work is, Kevin and I, my business partner, we playfully joke now. He's a podcaster who tolerates coaching, and I'm a coach who tolerates podcasting. And we have 2,400 episodes, so I still love podcasting. But for me, it's the one-on-one. It's the real work is done behind the scenes when no one's watching. And to answer your question, every time I meet someone, because I've done this work for so long, I can kind of see where they're inaccurate about themselves, others in the world, and I can see where their blind spots are, and I can see why they're not successful. Because statistically speaking, the majority of people are not healthy, wealthy, and in love. They're not, fit and wildly in love. And anyone can be, but almost no one is gonna be. And I think that second part is, I never used to say. I used to say anyone can be a millionaire, right? There's 24 million millionaires in the U.S. It's the largest economy on planet Earth, but globally there's like 70 million. And so everyone can be wealthy, but almost no one will. And a lot of that's generational wealth, so that's dependent on where you're from and all that too. But everyone talks about how they want to be financially free, but almost no one ever will be. And that's really been hard for me to swallow, because these simple fundamentals do work for everybody, but very few people actually do them. And that's why I always say that behavior change is power. Knowledge isn't power, but behavior change is. Because we can all research how to lose weight, but almost no one can get you to actually do it. And if you can't get yourself to do it, you're in a lot of trouble. So the willingness score, high humility, high work ethic, and a high improvement orientation. And there's tells if you're faking it or not, because a lot of people in the social world like act, if I, who here is into personal growth? 1,000 people would raise their hand out of 1,000, but very few of them. And if I had a camera on you, creepiness aside, like, would I still think you're actually into personal growth, or do you just, jump up and down and say it, right?
Well, you made a good point, or let me get closer. You made a good and a valid point about the industry and the space that we're in today, right now, and how there's some negative context to and aspects of certain things without naming names. But you named a couple of things of those feelings and how they're counterproductive to development of things, because sometimes, let's face it, those people are the ones that are seen first, that are heard first, because they're the loudest, the brightest, the biggest, and that kind of thing. And then there's also this reshaping of the mind and the space in between when you're talking to people of what their expectations are, what they feel like, and they just dump their problems on you and say, hey, here, fix it. Mm-hmm. How do you go through this navigate through this field to say, we're not the used car dealership that you're used to?
Yeah.
It's like,
what I've been saying, and sorry if you still had more to that question.
No.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock. I love the questions so far. This has been great. Appreciate it. But we're not the used car dealer you're used to. The way that I've been doing it, the best way I can describe it is, I said this at my speech for my event this past weekend. I opened it with, the reason you are not more successful is not because you don't believe enough in what you already believe. It's because you have massive blind spots. So I use the metaphor of a self-driving car. And what I say to people when they come to me, even with Alvaro, I would love, like, let's give it a shot. But listen, I've heard every story. Like, I'm not naive anymore. I mean, for 11 years ago, I'd been like, yeah, I'll coach your whole team. I'm excited, right? Like, I've seen too many people just be so full of shit that it's nothing against him. I just don't trust anyone until they prove it over time anymore. Because ultimately, like, I don't know, everyone acts like they're into personal growth. Everyone acts like they're hardworking. Almost no one actually is, right? So I need to see it over time, and I need to see it over an extended period of time. So yes, I believe in people, and I need it to be consistently proven. I call it the unrelenting tortoise versus the entitled and arrogant hare. And I have this asset that shows, discipline and grit, and the tortoise, and it's got like arrows stuck in it, and the hare is like scrolling on Netflix, right? And in the back in the day, in the 90s where I grew up, we made fun of infomercials. Now the whole fucking internet is an infomercial.
Yeah.
And it's just nuts, because nothing works unless you work. And so that's what I lead with now. And I said this to the people at Next Level Live. I said, the internet is very affirming and validating. It's trying to help you feel good about yourself. Like, what is plastic surgery, and what is not all plastic surgery? Some of it's not cosmetic. Some of it is actually function. But whether it's plastic surgery or airbrushes or filters or quick fixes and magic bullets and secret sauces and all the the 5 quick steps, all of this is just, it's just fresh paint over rotten wood. It's not the fundamentals. Like, the fundamentals are hard work, doing things that suck consistently, tracking metrics and habits, having hard conversations, courage, humility, and vulnerability. Like, these things, there is no like fun climb to success. And anyone who's trying to tell you that their climb to success was fun and enjoyable is they're just lying. They're just lying. Like, we all hate the Stairmaster. We all hate hard workouts. Like, you just, I would prefer the mature person who says, honestly, I've exercised every day for 4.12 years. I have a tracker every day. My girlfriend and I, future wife, we've been tracking it since March 1st of 2022. And at first, thank you so much. I appreciate it. At first, it was like a lot of like, yeah, awesome, that's great. And now I don't even like sharing it because it's just too weird, But I'll still share it for the point that I'm making. which is, it started out with 30 minutes, and we ramped up from 30 to 35, 35 to 40, 45 to 50, and now we're at 60 minutes a day minimum, and I've done it every day for 4 years, plus 4.12 years according to my tracker. And I have it written, 1,504 days, exercise streak. I write it on my whiteboard every single day. And if I'm not on my whiteboard because I'm traveling, I do it on Google Sheets. I track everything. I track metrics and weight and all this stuff. All my clients do, all my team does. So my point to answer your question is, anyone can exercise every day. It's not impossible. Like, unless you have debilitating, like I had a client with no arms and no legs. I kid you not. She swam, she drove a car. She was amazing. She had to have her husband put her on the scale for her. Like, if she has every reason not to be successful and to make excuses, and she makes no excuses. And I said, Pauline, the reason I think you're unbelievable is because you have every excuse in the world, and you don't use those excuses. You don't let them hold you back. And then there's other people who have arms and legs and every opportunity to be successful, and they just complain. And so I believe in Pauline. I believe in the Paulines of the world. And I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear the talk. I don't want to hear the rah-rah. I want to see it when no one's watching, and I never get to see it when no one's watching, because I used to think words lie, actions don't. Actions lie too when they're in front of you, right? So this is my new little frame for before we hire anyone. Can this person sit alone in an empty gym on a Saturday night and sit on the Stairmaster by themselves, sweating for 30 minutes and not post it on Instagram? And if the answer is no, I will never hire them. I need to know that you're doing it to actually do it, not just to share it. You can share it too. I'm on social media. I got fitness content too. Right. But it's not, I'm not going to the gym so I can share it.
Right.
I'm going to the gym because it's forging humility. You want to get humbled? Go do pull-ups. Pull-ups are so alarmingly humbling. I'm like a fairly strong guy, 200 pounds, decent body comp. Pull-ups make me feel awful about myself. Awful. Especially weighted pull-ups. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for humble pie every single day. Time your miles, you will get humble pie. Do pull-ups, you'll get humble pie. You know, and I think that when you eat humble pie every single day, you do end up extraordinary, even though you feel very, very inadequate.
You're actually describing a very intimate point of my life. That's kind of funny. I ran cross country for years. I was on the cross country team, and that conversation that you have with individual body parts or yourself in those moments,
when your knee hurts.
Those moments, it just means something different to keep going when you're hurt to the point no one else is around. My buddies from high school, I'm older than I look. You mentioned your age, and I'll shout out mine there for those. I have about 11 years on you, and
really.
Yeah.
Oh, so who knew? Okay. So you remember the 90s?
Oh, I remember them very well.
You know it. Nice.
I was sober the entire time. But it was an amazing time because all of my friends during that cross country team, we still talk to this day.
Nice. That's awesome.
We're just built different. And I don't mean that, to exclude anyone. I'm just saying, like, runners in that mindset of communicating and going through that transition that you're talking about of like, it's me, it's nothing else. This is what I have to do. It's hard to find that group of people that are just dedicated to running the extra mile, no pun intended. And now that you're saying that, that's a starting point for you. That's a starting point for you. I could not finish a lap around the track when I first started.
Yeah.
It took failure. It took failure after failure after failure. It took embarrassment, like you said, the humility of changing that. It took all of that to get me to the point to want to be that person. Now, what do you do if you have somebody that wants it?
Yeah, nice.
But can't do it yet.
Nice.
They want it. They're there. They're showing up. they may not fully have the wits about them, or the knowledge, or know how things end. Because a lot of the times I'm dealing with people because they don't see the end game.
Mm-hmm.
They're scared to play, you know? So how do you deal with that?
What I've found is the people who actually, we call it the drive to 5 at my company. Kevin and I kind of created this. So he started under, I started over. The zeros don't believe they can get a mentor. The 10s don't think they need one. Right? So the zeros don't believe in themselves. The 10s believe in them, are delusional, basically. And we call it the drive to 5. Aim too high, you'll get humble pie. Aim too low, and you won't grow. And what I've actually found is it's actually harder, ironically, for me to coach people who are over. The people who think they're better than they are, I actually don't believe in anymore. Because you basically have to keep popping their balloon in order to get them to work harder. Whereas Kevin is you don't have to pop his balloon. He already thinks he's not that great, so you just have to convince him that he can do it, which is not that hard, actually, because he's pretty great, believe it or not. It's this weird paradox where I've found the people who actually don't think they're that great are actually the greatest.
Right.
And then there's the occasional, rare, self-aware, like a Michael Jordan who knows he's great and is great. Like there are some of those people, and I would consider myself one of those in my own way, and I'm not comparing to Michael Jordan necessarily, but my point is like level 1 is I think I'm great already, but I haven't proven it yet. Level 2 is I actually think I suck, but I'm going to work hard to try to make up for it. I believe in level 2 way more than level 1. And then level 3 is like, okay, I believe I'm capable of more, and I'm starting to believe in myself, but I need to prove it every single day. And then level 4 is like, oh shit, I think I'm built different. I'm actually kind of scared of how different I am than everyone else.
Okay.
And then level 5 is like, okay, I know that I'm great. I accept that I'm great. I accept that I'm gifted. And I'm going to see how far I can fucking take this thing. And that's like a Tom Brady, right? Or a Serena Williams, or a Michael Phelps, or a Michael Jordan, or a Kobe Bryant, or right? Like, and it depends on what your thing is. But for someone who's out there who wants to start, you got to figure out which level you're on, and you got to figure out what you need, because each level needs something different. This is why it's so brutal to watch someone. And again, I respect Oprah deeply. I do. And she says, like, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have worried so much. It's like, Oprah, the reason you're Oprah is because you worried.
Right.
Like, you did 20 years of the Oprah show and didn't miss a single time. Not one time did you miss. You can't tell someone on the couch eating Cheetos in college not to worry so much. Right. They need to concern themselves. Like, it's all going to work out, not a chance. It's all going to work out is a terrible strategy. Hope is not a strategy. It's not all going to work out. Your future is not bigger, better, and brighter by default. Like, you might put it all on the court and still lose. That's the truth. That's the replacing the rotten wood instead of fresh coat of paint of it's all going to work out. Like, this whole you're already good enough, none of that is true. So if someone is honest with themselves and says, okay, I'm scared of this journey, I actually think you're being honest. And I think that you should be scared. And I think that fear is proof that you're actually humble. And, you know, are you scared that you're too good, or are you scared that you're not enough? Start there. Are you scared of not being successful, or are you scared of being villainized and hated? Okay? That's usually the two buckets. Like, there's gifted people who believe in themselves a ton, but they dial it down socially because they don't want to be hated. That's me for sure. Or they puff up to protect themselves, the Goodwill Hunting thing, right? And then the other person, the majority, is they pretend they believe in themselves when they socially, but deep down they really don't. That kind of thing. And so you got to figure out what level of self-belief you have, and is it accurate? Kevin should believe in himself more than he does. He tends to be under. We got to get him to 5. And trust me, he swings right past 5 and gets arrogant after a big W. And then we eat the humble pie quick. But for me, I need the humility. I got to do weighted pull-ups to remind myself that I suck. Because my brain wants to tell me, like, you're great. You can do it. You're great. Like, I need to time my mile. And 7:27? Are you kidding me? Come on. You're 6'2", 200 pounds. What are we doing here? Like, some people naturally think they're great and they need humble pie every day, and you have to seek it out.
Right.
Big fish, small pond.
Got you.
Other people, tiny fish, huge ocean. Be careful. Go to a pond for a little while and challenge yourself, but like don't get eaten by a shark.
So I have to ask you this question, and you kind of answered it, but for clarity purposes, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you doing this and inspiring, to help individuals, to help yourself? Because there's a moment, I don't know if this is the truth for you, but there's a moment that we do this at some point, because not only does it help us, but it helps us helping other people, which therefore helps us again, and those are the people that truly believe it and live it. So what keeps you motivated?
Meaning. Yeah, so a lot of things do. Like, obviously, stepdad left, prove myself. I had all that stuff back in the day.
Right.
But once you become successful, and again, that's why success is such a weird thing. You don't ever get there. I love the quote where it's like, you can never own success. You can never own it. It's unownable. You can only rent it, and the rent is due every day. So it's a mountain that gets higher as you climb it. But once you become statistically successful, where you're not like, I have nice clothes, I'm not worried about like I used to. I used to drive a crappy car, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's not the same. Now it's, where am I going to invest my money? It's not how am I pay my bills. And so what motivates me now is meaning. And it always has, actually. And that's why I think, films are such a great, the best books are the most meaningful ones. The best movies are the most meaningful ones, like a Hotel Rwanda or something like that. It's like the meaning is the one thing that I tether to, because life can be atrociously hard, and it has been for me, particularly growing up. Kind of lost 3 families by the time I was 14, type of thing. Birth father died. Mom got in a fight with her sister. We got ostracized from her side of the family. Between the McCorkles, the Lazaroses, and the Higgins family, I've only seen a half dozen of them, right? So I kind of grew up without a family in some ways. I had my mom and my sister, but the point is that, like, life was just existentially awful for me. Birth father died, stepfather left, like, it was just existentially awful. So I had to find something to tether to that was bigger and brighter amongst the darkness. And it still to this day is meaning. Like, I have a deeply meaningful relationship. And this is the thing that I think we've lost in the 21st century, at least a little bit, some of us, particularly in countries like the U.S. And I'm not picking on the U.S., I mean like wealthy nations.
Right.
Is we lost meaning because meaning comes from challenge. There's 2 types of adversity. There's the adversity life throws at you. I happen to have a lot of that. And then there's the adversity that comes from having massive fucking dreams. Some adversity is an inevitable byproduct of having huge goals and dreams.
Right.
I unconsciously as a kid chose both. I didn't know it. I didn't actually consciously choose. But meaning comes from climbing big mountains and challenging yourself and growing and contributing. So for me, it's meaningful. Like this event this past weekend, it wasn't crazy profitable, but it was super meaningful. There was tears. And I was actually at my beautiful girlfriend and future wife's, her grandmother, her Nana, turned 90. And yesterday we were at her 90th birthday. And everybody kind of gave speeches about how Nana impacted them and her work. She was early in childhood development, singing while in the womb, music. She was an unbelievable musician. And I started just bawling. It was so meaningful. It was like, holy shit, this is 90 years of impact in this room, with 90-ish people. And to me, that's how you change the world, is you change yourself, and it ripples outward. Because the math is simple, right? 8 billion people on planet Earth. It's 8.3 now. 195 countries, but you touch 1,000 people who touch 1,000 people who touch 1,000 people. That's a billion right there. So you can change the world. You just don't know it. And so meaning is what I tether to, and meaning is what drives me.
So where can people reach and find you? This has been very inspirational. Where can they find you and get a hold of you?
So if I haven't scared you off yet, Again, don't reach out unless you really are serious and willing to deal with intensity. I think that a lot of people don't treat life very seriously. I'm fun and loving too. We can be warm and fun and laugh. We're going to have fun. Of course, I have a book club. I tell book club members this all the time because they're really intense books and really intense discussions. And I said, I will probably offend you. I will probably come off arrogant. My intention isn't to, but I care more about your future than your feelings. I care more about your future than your feelings. And you will leave here smarter, I promise. You will leave here thinking differently. You will. And I've been doing book club for 6 years, so I know some of these people deeply for years. And one book club is usually deeper discussions than most people have in an entire week, if not month or year. So if my intensity scares you, stay away. That's okay. I'm not making that wrong. If it excites you and really, you're humble and ready to work, let's rock and roll.
All right. Thank you for that. I'm definitely going to try to tag everything that you do where people can reach you. Please let me know all of that. And I'm very inspired by this conversation. I've been doing this for maybe 3 to 4 years, and this is probably the first time I've actually been inspired, not only as a coach, but as a person to do things in my personal life. So you definitely have a calling. You definitely have a passion about it. And I want to thank you again, Mr. Alan Lazaros. I want to thank you for, being a part of this and being a guest and then improving my life in ways that you may not know. So thank you very much. And everyone, Alan, any last words?
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I could tell that you were moved by some of it and that this was a different conversation. So thank you for creating a psychologically safe space to be honest about some of the challenging truths of what it takes to really achieve your goals and dreams. I appreciate it, man.
No problem. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.
Listen, if this message resonated with you, don't let it stop here. Transformation doesn't happen from watching. It happens from action. If you're ready to level up your mindset, your habits, and your life, I've created something for you. Tap the link below and join my free podcast and community where growth isn't just talked about, it's lived. Surround yourself with people who are building, evolving, and pushing forward. And if you haven't already, subscribe, stay connected, and commit to becoming the strongest version of yourself. This is your moment. Let's grow.
Every day is a blessing. The time we spend together. All we can do is promote change. 24 hours better.